The Newsday continues here on One News Now Business. I'm Diego Castro. Here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. The United States is sending a trade and investment mission to the Philippines. U.S. President Joe Biden told his Philippine counterpart, President Bongbong Marcos, that the mission was, quote, first of its kind. The mission, which will involve high-caliber business leaders, aims to boost American investments in the Philippines. This covers several initiatives and areas for cooperation, including innovation, economy, clean energy, and food security.
And we're standing up for our shared democratic values and workers' rights and the rule of law. And together, we're deepening our economic cooperation. And we're going to announce that, we're going to announce today that I'm sending a first-of-its-kind presidential trade and investment mission to the Philippines.
U.S. firms are planning to hire some 75,000 seafarers in the next 3 to 4 years. Carnival Corporation CEO John Padgett made the revelation during President Bongbong Marcos' meeting in Washington. Padgett, who also represents other maritime firms, praised Filipino workers for their hospitality and competitiveness in the global workforce. Meanwhile, the United States-Philippine Society also vowed for greater partnership to boost the Philippine economy. With this, the President hopes that Filipinos in Washington could come home to a better Philippines. This as he expects the country to have improved by the time overseas Filipinos decide to retire.
Sooner or later, we will be able to welcome you back home to the Philippines, especially those who have reacquired their Filipino citizenship. It's my hope that some of you will come home for good and retire in a much better Philippines. A Philippines with better airports, Philippines with better roads, better airports, better internet, better governance. Yun ang aking pinapangarap.
Philippine manufacturing activity eased to an 8-month low in April. S&P Global reported that the country's Purchasing Managers Index reading stood at 51.4 last month. That's lower than the 52.5 PMI recorded in March and the lowest reading since August of last year. An economist from S&P Global said both new orders and output are growing at much softer rates. Still, April marked the 15th straight month that the PMI reading was above 50, which denotes improvement. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. The national government fell short of its budget deficit ceiling in the first quarter of the year. Preliminary data from the Treasury Bureau shows the fiscal gap narrowed by 14.51% to 270.9 billion pesos in January to March this year. That's lower than the 316.8 billion pesos recorded in the same period last year. However, the latest figure is lower than the almost 300 billion peso program deficit set by the Development Budget Coordination Committee. This as the national government missed its spending target for the quarter. China Bank chief economist Dominic Velasquez says the government needs to effectively use the program budget to support growth. The government advises airlines to rework their flight schedules for the airspace shutdown on May 17. This as Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines announced maintenance activities at the Philippine Air Traffic Management Center from 12 midnight to 6 a.m. on May 17. CAAP spokesperson Eric Apolonio told Business World that they have given all concerned parties a heads up 2 weeks before the shutdown. The MIAA also said it would meet with airlines and airport authorities to discuss how they would work around the scheduled closure.
By tomorrow, I'm sure the airlines can give an update kung ano yung mga gagawin nilang action plans. These are all proactive efforts to, of course, make sure that the CNS-ATM is reliable as an offshoot of what happened for earlier this year.
The MIAA is also hopeful that airlines would be able to advise passengers of affected flights as soon as possible.
The airlines can advise the passengers, the better, because of this planned changes in their itinerary. What will happen there is for 6 hours, wala talagang activity sa ating airspace. But of course, CAAP is saying it could happen mas maikli, di ba? Pwedeng shorter. Pero as far as their planning is concerned, we're planning for 6 hours.
Prices of sugar remain high despite higher volume of supply. Sugar Regulatory Administration Acting Chief Pablo Ascona said one brand is being sold at up to 136 pesos per kilo at a supermarket. In wet markets, Ascona said sugar prices range from 86 to 110 pesos per kilo, above their target suggested retail price of 85 to 90 pesos.
So yung profit margin lang po ng wholesaler, retailer, or trader po, yung tumataas. Yung sa farmer naman po, bumaba based on the amount of supply that we have. Medyo sobra talaga po yung price sa retail price. Pag yung sapat po na retail price based on the situation sa ngayon po, yung sinasabi nating 85 pesos to 90 pesos retail price ng refined, yun talaga po yung fair price.
Meanwhile, Philippine Egg Board Chairman Gregorio San Diego said prices of the commodity have dropped due to low demand. From 7 pesos last month, medium eggs are now being sold at around 6 pesos per piece in wet markets and supermarkets.
Wala ka namang choice kasi kung may repair sa produkto namin, hindi mo na pwedeng ipunin yan. Mabubulo ka, lalang malaki malulubi sa iyo.
A Senate panel wants stiffer penalties against smugglers of agricultural products. Data from the Department of Justice showed that out of the 150 agriculture smuggling cases they've received since 2016, around half have been dismissed, while only 9 managed to make it to court and are still pending. And according to the group SINAG, the process of convicting smugglers remains slow since only the Bureau of Customs can file complaints. Senate Agriculture Panel Chairman Cynthia Villar also noted that large-scale smuggling constitutes economic sabotage. She now wants accused agri-smugglers to be barred from being allowed to pay fines and for them to be detained while the case against them is being heard. Villar also wants hoarding, price manipulation, and other cartel offenses to be non-bailable.
Yung mga madidemanda dito, mayayaman.
Yeah.
The only magagawa mo sa kanila para mapatigil sila is makulong sila. That's the only deterrent to smugglers, that they be filed criminal cases and then makulong sila. Kahit hindi namin sila ma-asistensyahan.
And those are the top business stories of the hour. I'm Diego Castro. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News. All sides, all the time.